The conference room fell silent as Miranda Chen's phone buzzed for the third time. Her assistant knew better than to interrupt. The quarterly board meeting, unless it was urgent. When she saw the message, her heart sank. Tyler had another episode at school. Please come immediately. For 5 years, Miranda had built an empire worth $300 million. She'd negotiated with Fortune 500 companies, survived hostile takeovers, and earned her place among the nation's most influential CEOs. But nothing in her corner office prepared her for the sight of her 19-year-old son slumped in his wheelchair, tears streaming down his face as other students whispered and stared. The car accident that shattered Tyler's spine had happened 3 years ago, just weeks before his high school graduation. In one devastating moment, the star quarterback, with scholarship offers from a dozen universities, became a young man who would never walk again. Miranda had weathered that storm with the same fierce determination that built her company. But lately, she'd noticed something breaking inside her son that no surgery could repair. The light had gone out of his eyes. That evening, as Miranda helped Tyler into bed, she made a decision that would have shocked her shareholders. She was taking a month off, something she'd never done in her entire career, and she was going to find a way to bring her son back to life. The idea came from an unlikely source. Her mother, who still lived in the small Pennsylvania town where Miranda grew up, called with what sounded like another one of her schemes. "There's a lovely young woman at our church, Sarah Mitchell. She's a teacher, 26, and her mother thinks you two might hit it off." Miranda almost laughed. "Mom, I don't have time for blind dates. I'm barely keeping Tyler afloat." "I wasn't suggesting it for you, sweetheart," her mother said gently. "What if Tyler met someone who could see him for who he is, not what happened to him?" The suggestion seemed absurd at first. Tyler barely left his room. He'd pushed away every friend who tried to visit. But something about her mother's words lingered. What if connection, not another specialist or therapy program, was what Tyler needed? Miranda spent the next week carefully researching. She didn't want just anyone. She wanted someone with depth. Someone who understood struggle. Through a support group for parents of disabled children, she heard about James Peterson, a 32-year-old single father raising a daughter with cerebral palsy. He ran a small adaptive sports program and, according to everyone who knew him, possessed an uncommon gift for seeing potential where others saw limitations. When Miranda reached out, explaining her situation, James agreed to meet for coffee first without the kids. She expected to find a do-gooder, seeking validation or perhaps someone who'd pity Tyler. What she found instead was a man with calloused hands and laugh lines around his eyes, who spoke about his daughter, Emma, with such pure joy that Miranda felt something shift in her chest. "I'm not interested in charity cases," James told her bluntly, "and I won't pretend Emma's disability is something to overcome or fix. She's perfect exactly as she is. The world needs fixing, not her." Miranda bristled at first, but then she understood. This was exactly the perspective Tyler needed. "I'm not looking for someone to fix my son," she said carefully. "I'm looking for someone who can help him remember he's still whole." They met the following Saturday at an accessible park halfway between their cities. Miranda had told Tyler they were meeting a family friend, carefully omitting certain details. She watched her son's face as James approached, pushing a pink wheelchair decorated with sparkly stickers. In it sat 7-year-old Emma, her smile so wide it seemed to illuminate the entire park. "Hi, I'm Emma," the little girl announced, rolling right up to Tyler. "Daddy says you're 19. That's like super old. Do you like dinosaurs?" "I love dinosaurs, especially the flying ones. But Daddy says those aren't technically dinosaurs. They're pterosaurs, which I think is a silly name." For the first time in months, Miranda saw Tyler's lips twitch into something resembling a smile. Yeah, dinosaurs are cool." What happened over the next 2 hours stunned Miranda. She'd prepared herself for awkwardness, for forced conversation and uncomfortable silences. Instead, she watched her son engage with the world in a way she'd forgotten was possible. James didn't treat Tyler's wheelchair as an elephant in the room. He simply suggested they take a walk around the lake. And when Tyler mentioned he couldn't do certain trails, James shrugged and said, "Then we'll find better trails." Emma chattered endlessly, asking Tyler questions about everything from his favorite ice cream flavor to whether he thought aliens were real. She showed him how she'd customized her wheelchair with LED lights and explained her dream of becoming a paleontologist who discovered dinosaurs in space. Because why should Earth have all the good fossils? She reasoned. But it was a quiet moment that changed everything. They'd stopped by the lake, and Emma was feeding ducks with bread James had brought. Tyler sat watching, and Miranda noticed his hands clenching the armrests of his chair. "I used to play football," he said suddenly, his voice barely audible. "I was good. Really good." James nodded, settling onto a bench beside him. "Past tense." "I can't anymore, obviously." "Can't play the way you used to," James corrected gently. "That's different from can't play at all." He pulled out his phone and showed Tyler videos of wheelchair rugby, of adaptive athletes doing things that seemed impossible. These guys would destroy most able-bodied players. Different doesn't mean less. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. "Doesn't it feel like you lost everything, though?" When it happened, Miranda's breath caught. Tyler had never asked these questions out loud, never voiced what she knew haunted him. James considered this carefully. "Emma's mom left 2 weeks after the diagnosis," he said. "Said she didn't sign up for a damaged kid. I lost my job because I needed too much time off for therapy appointments. Lost my house. Lost pretty much everything I thought defined my life." He paused, watching Emma laugh as a particularly bold duck waddled up to her chair. "But that little girl right there? She taught me that I'd been measuring the wrong things. Yeah, life looks different than I planned. It's also better in ways I never imagined." "How can different be better?" Tyler's voice cracked. "Everyone looks at me like I'm broken." "Then they're looking wrong," James said simply. "You know what Emma told me last week? She said she was glad she had cerebral palsy because otherwise she might not understand other people who feel different. 7 years old, and she already gets that her challenges gave her superpowers, compassion, resilience, creativity. Your challenges are giving you something too, even if you can't see it yet." Emma wheeled back over, oblivious to the heavy conversation. "Tyler, do you want to come to my adaptive swimming class next week? It's super fun, and there's a boy there who does flips underwater in his chair. Well, not his chair, but like a special pool chair, and it's so cool." Tyler glanced at Miranda, and she saw something she hadn't seen in 3 years. Possibility. "Maybe," he said. "Yeah, maybe." Over the following weeks, what started as one arranged meeting became a genuine friendship. Tyler began attending Emma's swim classes, and James invited him to help coach some of the younger kids in the adaptive sports program. Miranda watched her son transform, not back into who he was before, that person was gone, but into someone new, someone deeper. The real shock came 6 weeks later. Miranda arrived to pick up Tyler from the sports center and found him in the gym, surrounded by a group of kids in wheelchairs, demonstrating techniques for wheelchair basketball. He was laughing, actually laughing, as he showed a shy 10-year-old boy how to execute a sharp turn. James appeared beside her. He's a natural with them. They listen to him because he gets it. "I don't know how to thank you," Miranda said, her CEO composure crumbling. "You gave me my son back." "I didn't do anything," James replied, watching Tyler high-five the young boy who'd just made his first basket. He was always there. He just needed to remember that his value isn't in what his legs can do. "Still, if there's anything I can do—" "Actually, there is." James pulled out a folder. "I want to expand the program, reach more kids. But funding is tight, and I don't have the business skills to take it to the next level." He hesitated. "Tyler mentioned you run a major corporation. I don't suppose you'd consider advising us." "Pro bono, of course. We couldn't possibly afford someone of your caliber." Miranda smiled, thinking of the massive acquisition deal she'd postponed to take this time off. "I think I can do better than advise. What if we turn this into a foundation, scale it properly, reach kids across the country?" James's eyes widened. "That would be... that's enormous." "Are you serious?" I've never been more serious about anything in my life. 3 months later, the Chen Peterson Foundation for Adaptive Sports opened its first regional center. Miranda had donated $2 million of her personal fortune and recruited corporate sponsors for millions more. But more importantly, she'd found a new purpose beyond quarterly earnings reports. Tyler, now enrolled in online college courses studying recreational therapy, served as the foundation's youth advocate. He gave his first public speech at the opening ceremony, his voice steady as he told a crowd of hundreds. 3 years ago, I thought my life ended. I thought I'd lost everything that mattered. It took a 7-year-old girl and her amazing dad to show me that I hadn't lost anything. I'd just been given a different path. And this path? It's leading somewhere pretty incredible. Emma, sitting in the front row in her sparkly wheelchair, clapped so hard Miranda worried she might fall out of her chair. James steadied her gently, tears running down his face. After the ceremony, as Miranda watched Tyler help a young girl navigate her new sports wheelchair, James approached her. You know, when you first contacted me, I almost said no. Thought you were just some rich CEO trying to fix her guilt with money. I was, Miranda admitted. I thought I could manage this like a business problem. And now, she watched Tyler throw his head back and laugh at something the young girl said, watched him be present in a moment instead of mourning the past. Now I understand that the best things in life can't be managed or controlled. They can only be embraced. James smiled. For a CEO, you're pretty wise. I had good teachers, she said, nodding toward Tyler and Emma, who were now racing their wheelchairs across the gym floor, their laughter echoing off the walls. In that moment, Miranda realized something profound. She'd spent her entire life building an empire, measuring success in profit margins and market share. But watching her son truly alive again, seeing him help other kids find their own strength, this was the achievement that would define her legacy. Not the company she built, but the foundation she created from the rubble of tragedy. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from refusing to fall, but from learning to rise in ways you never imagined possible. And sometimes the people who seem to need help the most are actually the ones teaching the rest of us how to truly see.